Hi, I'm Sara and welcome to Hen Corner. Today we're making wheat flour tortilla, which are a fantastic flatbread that can be used with the traditional Mexican fajitas, or you can use it as an easy lunch, or use it for just mopping up on the side of any meal that you're having. Nice and straightforward, and this is a simple bread recipe, doesn't require any yeast, and it can be done with a little bit of planning, then very quick alongside cooking your main meal. So to make this recipe, what we need is 300 grams of flour. I'm using white flour. It happens to be strong flour, but this recipe works just as well with plain flour. Into this flour, we're going to put 1 teaspoon of salt. And we're going to give that a stir around. We're going to use a scraper. If you haven't got a scraper, a fork or a wooden spoon is absolutely fine. Then I've got 50 grams of oil. This is just vegetable oil, sunflower oil, and we're going to sprinkle this on. And this oil, the addition of the oil, is what keeps the flour tortilla nice and soft. So it's flexible, so you can wrap your food in it. So giving that a bit of a stir, and it's soaking up some of the flour and just distributing the oil so it's not one big clump. And then finally, we're going to add in 200 grams of boiling hot water. So this is hot. Whoa. You can see the steam coming off. Now be very careful stirring this because you don't want to get your hands in because you will burn yourself. So mix it with a scraper or a wooden spoon if you haven't got a scraper until you've got an even consistency. And once you've got an even consistency, once the flour and the water and the oil are combined and that salt was already mixed in with the flour, then you can get your hands in there and give it a quick knead. It's not like kneading a bread dough to make a loaf of bread, just to make sure that it's all brought together. Now it is quite wet, but we'll need that for later. And once you've got it combined nicely and you've got quite a thick paste, we then want to leave it at room temperature for at least half an hour, but it can be quite a few hours if you want to, or if it's going to be longer than 3 or 4 hours, pop it in the fridge. But we want it covered because we don't want it to dry out. And I like to cover my dough with a shower cap. So here's one I prepared earlier. So this is a dough I prepared earlier, and the dough that we've just made, I'm going to cover it with a shower cap and leave that on the side to rest, and that will be ready to work with in half an hour or so. So we've got this dough here. We're going to roll it out really thin. Now, the easiest way to roll out dough is between 2 pieces of parchment. So I've got 2 pieces of parchment paper here. I've got my rolling pin, and I'm just going to break off a bit of the dough, make it into a small ball in my hand by tucking the top underneath, pop it on the parchment, another bit of parchment on. In fact, I'm going to put a little bit of flour on there just because I don't want it to stick. A little bit of flour both sides. Parchment on top, and then give it a roll. Now, you want round tortillas. So you give it a bit of a roll in one direction, then you can turn all the parchment around, give it a roll in another direction. Give it a roll in another direction. And you want these to go really rather thin, so you've got a nice thin flour tortilla to wrap around your food. Now, I think that this one is not quite as round as I would like it to be. Give it a bit more of a press with a rolling pin. So mine's, it's heart shaped. So that's quite nice. We've got a heart shaped tortilla. And because we've used the parchment paper, it's easy to pull the parchment off. And that, my heart shaped tortilla, is going to go into a hot frying pan that's been preheated with no oil, no fat, just a hot frying pan. Here it is here. I'm going to go and get that preheated. And we're going to put the tortilla into the pan at a very high temperature. And we're then going to be very careful with tongs so we don't burn ourselves. And we're going to turn it over every 20 seconds or so, because we don't want it to burn. We don't want any hot patches, but we do want it to cook through. Then once it's cooked through on both sides, we can stack them up, wrap them up in a tea towel to keep them nice and soft. And they'll be ready to serve with our favorite Mexican dish, or for an easy snack at lunchtime. Particularly if you've got children in the house, it's jolly handy. I like mine with hummus and salad. So I hope you enjoyed that recipe. We look forward to meeting you again and doing another recipe. To find out more about Hen Corner, go to hencorner.com, and we'd love you to join us on the journey. See you next time.